Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Trackside Broadcasting. I hope everyone's had a great week so far, and now it's time to finish it off with some more great racing action here tonight. As always, before we get underway, I'd like to thank the Tanzo Racing Group for letting us bring you all the action this season, and to our sponsors, Valhalla Liveries and us here at Trackside Broadcasting. Also, make sure to share the YouTube link to friends and family so more people can support your favourite drivers. Now, we are on race 4 of 8 tonight, and we're here at Monza, just outside of Milan in the beautiful country of Italy. We've had nothing but great races so far this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing another one here tonight. But before we begin, joining me in the booth, as always, will be my right-hand man in broadcasting. So let's get him in here with me. Say our hellos. Good evening, Gaz. How are we today?
Good evening, Jimmy. Buongiorno, ciao, as they say over in the continent, I believe it is. I am very, very well this evening, mate. Look, it's another bank holiday weekend. You know how I love them. Plenty of time off to be had and plenty of relaxing to be done, mate. But no, we're back. Monza combined this week, Jimmy. We're mixing the classic racetrack and the oval circuit together. I'm feeling great about it. How about you?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to this one. This is the one out of all the races this season that I'm looking forward to most, just because it's something so different than we're going to see the entire time, and yeah, it should be really good fun.
No, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's one of them. It's very different tonight, isn't it, as well? It's like we said, combined race tonight, 45-minute endurance straight through, no stopping halfway through, no 20 minutes, then 25-minute reversed. It is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Something a little bit different for us here and everyone at home tonight.
Yeah, we've got looking at roughly around sort of 3.5 minute lap times around this track, so it's a big old track, and yeah, it's got some interesting strategies, but we'll obviously talk about those a little bit later on. Gaz, would you like to let everyone know what's happening this evening and for the season?
Yeah, no worries, Jim. So I'm just going to break it down for everybody at home, just in case anybody's new joining us tonight. By the way, hello, welcome. Say hello back to us if you're joining us tonight for the first time, or say hello if you're just back with us anyway. It's great to have you with us. So it's an 8-week series. We're on 4 of 8 tonight, remember, here at Monza. Each weekend, open with a 30-minute practice. That's already done. That's already out of the way. Everybody back on track together for that one, just to get ready for it, see how it all goes. Then we are into the 15-minute qualifying session. So you can see we're into that now. We're just under 5 minutes in. They've got about a maximum of 3 laps to set a time. And after that, Jimmy, tonight it's going to be a line up on track, lights out, and away we go for a 45-minute endurance race. So remember, I said it a minute ago, we're not having the 2 races tonight. No reverse grids, 45 minutes all the way through. It's going to be a good one.
Yes, we have got a little something different this evening. We've got open qualifying for the first time this race. So, well, this
Oh,
league.
sorry, yes, that's me failing my duties to read the instructions I'm given every week.
No,
No,
only to
yeah,
say,
open qualifying.
yeah, it should be. So, it's the reason why I really like this, and we will talk about strategy later on in the race. But the reason why I'm really looking forward to this one is because it's the with how big the track is and how long and flowing and fast and just flat out for most of it is. It's forcing the drivers to work together. And I think that's what's going to be most exciting about it because it's
Yeah,
you have to push the driver in front of you. You have to get in that slipstream of the other drivers. You have to really work as a group. And if you get separated from that group that's all working together, it's going to be near enough race over. So you've got to be really on it, and you've got to really. It's going to show like a whole different level of skill for the drivers this evening.
yeah, it's like it says, Jimmy. It's a long old track, isn't it? I think it's just over 6 miles long, to be fair, per lap. So yeah, 3.5 minutes was it about what you were saying to do this one in? It's you're gonna need to stay in the pack, really, aren't you? Because like you said, you fall away from it, it could be pretty much race over for you right there.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what they're doing because with the open qualifying as well, it's going to be interesting because you're not going to want to be that lead driver. You're not going to want to give anyone else that toe and let them get ahead of you on the grid. So it should be interesting strategy wise for the qualifying. I mean, we've not really seen qualifying strategy before. Usually it's just get your tyres warm, go out there and get a really
PB.
good lap in. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting because because you can't really communicate with the other drivers around you. You have to communicate with how you're driving, whether you want someone to overtake you or if you want to lead and all this kind of lot. So yeah, I'm intrigued because yeah, again, we're seeing on screen now we've got two drivers here, and one of them's giving a tow to the other driver. If you're that second driver, you're going to get further up on the grid, and I mean, again, is that going to be what you want? Especially in a draft track, you might be one of the drivers that's like, well, just want to sit in the slipstream until the end and get past. So
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a strategy in this race. I feel like they're definitely going to have like a little bit of a different head on their shoulders tonight, Jim, compared to what they're all used to with the two other shorter laps ways that we do it usually. But it's a difficult one tonight. It's a great track though, isn't it? Like everybody knows Monza from the F1, but the Monza combined with that oval bit that we're seeing at the minute, that huge bank there on that oval section of the track, it is a brilliant track to race tonight.
yeah, I mean, sadly it's been abandoned, and yeah, it's been reclaimed by nature a bit. The the oval section of the circuit. So
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting one tonight, Jimmy. Going to be a very interesting one. Few names I'm looking. I'll be looking at. I know a couple of the chaps will be joining us a little bit later, but Jack Veazey, he's been quick this year, hasn't he? It'll be interesting to see how he does tonight. Our newcomer on this endurance race.
yeah, just quickly, so we got Marshmallow in chat asking what does open qualifying mean? Yeah, we should have clarified. So when it's closed qualifying, they are on their own, setting a lap time by themselves. They're all in their own individual qualifying session. When it's open qualifying, it means everyone's in the same qualifying session together. So you're driving around the other cars, and you can work with the other cars. If you've got teammates, you can push each other along. You can work together, and it just creates a different, interesting feel to how the qualifying works. So yeah, closed qualifying, you're on your own. Open qualifying, you're with everyone else.
Does make a bit of difference when you've got the other cars out on track with you there, doesn't it, Jim? Though the difference when you are doing open and closed qualifying, I don't like the open qualifying. I like practice with everybody. I like warm up with everybody. I like being out there on my own for qualifying. It does make a bit of a difference. What's your opinion on this? Because you do a lot of this type of racing.
In previous leagues I've done, I started off hating the open qualifying. I used to really like a closed qualifying session, but I do like a bit of the interest that comes with open qualifying because sometimes you're like, well, I know I want to get that extra couple tenths here, so I'll let a driver I know go in front of me, and I'll come out the pits behind them, and I'll get that little bit of a tow that's going to pull me along. And
Yeah,
but it can stuff you up a little bit because there's been races where I know I've had the pace to get on pole, but I just wanted to get a bit of an advantage, so I come out the pits behind someone. We both get our tires warm together, and you go to set a time, and then when you're on your fast lap, they crash, and then you have to avoid it and slow down, and then you lose about 2-3 seconds, and then you're
yeah.
where you could have started on pole, you end up starting sort of near the back, and
There's,
I don't know.
there's pros and cons really to both. Essentially, you can get the tow like you said on the open, but close you can really lock in and get it down without having to worry about anyone getting in your way. It really is one of those. A great question, though, Marshmallow. A great question. Thanks for that one. And if anything else, guys, that we do cover it just doesn't quite make sense, do drop us a comment, let us know, and we shall do our best to explain it to you all. But Jimmy, halfway through the season, the points are looking pretty close out there, aren't they? Between I know you can see it like I can, because we can see obviously the overall tables at the moment. We're starting the AMs, but it's very close in there. Robert Barber sitting in P1 at the minute with Joseph Lopez in P2 and Casper Roos P3. Rob Barber sitting at 220 points with Joseph and Casper sitting at 218. So they are very close. Obviously, them two are tied together, 2 points behind Rob Barber. That can make all the difference. But we know how good Rob Barber is. He came P2 last week, and Casper came P3. Just to confirm for everyone, by the way, because there may have been a little bit of confusion. I did realise this when I watched the broadcast back a little bit later in the week, Jimmy. Phil Giles, 100% was an AM, so he had a brilliant race last week. Just to throw back to that one.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal one. That was really entertaining to watch. And I think we did end up clarifying it towards the end of the race, but
Yeah, you know, some people like to drop in and out as soon as the race is done, the checker flag's over. They tend to disappear sometimes. But just to clarify for everyone there, so it was a Phil Giles in P1 with Rob Barber P2 and Casper Ruus in P3 last week. That is your confirmed official finishing order there in the AMs. But no, there's a few others that are sitting quite close to them as well. John Johnson, 211, so he's only a few points off of them. And then a few of the other drivers, they haven't quite competed in all the races this season, so they are sitting a little bit further behind. But Jimmy, look at them pro points as well. Jack Veazey leading the way, 238 points, with Andrea Magli behind him, 225. So a little bit more of a gap there between P1 and P2, but we know how strong these two are together, especially out on track, because them two are always very, very close together. There's not too much between them usually.
No, they're very very close together on track, and yeah, I mean, looking at the points as well, yeah, single digit points near enough between most of the drivers. So, and we're halfway through the season, very close between everyone, and yeah, like I said, a lot of drivers very close on track, very close in points. Should make some makes for an interesting last few races of the season. Everyone's going to have to do battling as hard as they possibly can from now on.
No, absolutely. But with like you're saying, it being that close in points, Jimmy, is battling going to be there in your mind, or are you going to be more focused on about possibly just getting it done? Because you do a bit too much battling with the wrong person, you could end up out of the race. That could be a game changer in your season overall.
It could be, but I mean, ultimately, you're here to have a race. You're here to have a bit of fun, and if you're further down the grid, you might as well enjoy the racing, as we like to say.
No, absolutely, absolutely. We've got some times there on the board at the minute, mate. Jack Veazey sitting top of the leaderboard. He's been great this season since joining us this year, newbie to the league. But he's not been underperforming at all. He's been sitting right up there at the top. Finished last week, Jimmy, P1 in the second reverse grid race. We came all the way from the back of that. Well, I think he was about P11, P12 actually. Yeah, I think he was one off the bottom and then came back and came first, came second in the first race. He's been very strong this season and he's sitting at the top again, 3 minutes and 19. 1.2 second lead over Paul Brown at the moment, and there is not a lot of time left at all of qualifying. There's less than a minute, Jimmy. We're coming up to that 30-second mark right now.
Yeah, that's quite a big gap, especially around a minute and a half, well, 3.5 minute track roughly. But at the same time, if you can get in that draft and you can just follow, because I mean, we don't know whether Jack Veazey had a really good toe around the track, and then use that slipstream to get the best qualifying possible, whereas everyone else has been kind of a bit
We
all over
caught
the
up a
place.
little
But
bit.
so we should see. I mean, we got 10 seconds left to go of qualifying really, and so everyone's just finishing up their final laps now. And yeah, I think that first lap, I think is going to be the most telling of how the race is going to go because I don't know. It's hard to call. It's really hard to call. It's basically going to be how good are you at sticking in the draft and working with others. And that is what this race is going to be. I think I said it in our in my little chat with Gaz before the race started. I almost liken something like this to a NASCAR race, like a nice oval race, because
Mm.
you've got to mentally, without communicating to each other, you've got to just think of who's the fastest driver that we've got. And then you kind of stick and work together as a group. You push them along using the draft, and you get other people sticking in your draft, and you all follow together as a big group. And yeah, it's basically we're watching a NASCAR race, but with with a few chicanes thrown in the middle just for good measure. So should be a interesting little
It should be an interesting one, shouldn't
yeah.
it, there, Jimmy? We're missing a couple of the drivers this week as well, with it being the bank holiday weekend over here in the UK as well. We've got a few guys out on having a bit of a holiday this week, so there's not as many guys out there. So there is some opportunity here for some of these other drivers to get some points in this weekend, Jim.
Yeah, it should be a really good opportunity here. And I think yeah, I think the ones to watch really. I mean, who have we got at the top of the leaderboards? Jack Veazey and Robert Barber leading the ways in both their categories. So
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see what these guys do. Obviously, Rob Barber leading the way for the AMs and Jack Veazey leading the way for the pros at the moment. It'd be interesting to see how these guys do hold on to their P1 respectively out on track today. But they've got some serious competition though as well out there. Like Paul Brown, we know he's a good driver. Rick Wishart, we've seen him in some interesting battles this season, but he's a good driver as well. Lee Martin, and then the AMs, they're not to be sneered away from for these pros. They are very good drivers. No, it'll be an interesting one, Jimmy. It'll be an interesting one. But remember tonight, guys, everyone joining us at home. Hello, if you're just joining us, new to stream, you haven't been with us since the very beginning. We've got a 45-minute race for you this evening. Slightly different. No two races tonight. No 20-minute and 25-minute reverse. 45 minutes all the way through for these 9 guys out here on track. It's a little bit of a lower number than we're used to, but no, it still should make for a very interesting one. But it's like me and Jim were saying a little bit earlier. These guys have really got to focus on staying close together, because if you do lose someone out there on track, it's going to make a very, very hard one for you there. But no, there we go. So it seems like everybody has now officially crossed the line and come over. So you're Jimmy. Do you want to take it away and let everybody know the starting order for this race?
Yep, so leading the way, we have Jack Veazey in first place and leading the pros as well. Then we have Paul Brown, Rick Wishon, Lee Martin, Robert Barber in fifth place overall, but leading the way in the AMs, followed by Oyan Yassand, Joseph Lopez, Phil Giles, and then Casper Roost rounding out the top 9 drivers we have on the grid this evening.
There you go. So
So,
nine,
yeah,
nine out there, Jimmy. So it is a little bit of a lower number than we used to, but as long as they stay together, we should have a lot of overtakes in this one. It's a lot, very drafty. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of overtakes in those straight parts if they are very close together.
yeah, and yeah, I think so. Standing start for the drivers this evening, and then yeah, down to a draft track. So, I mean, the slipstream is going to be really interesting. We'll do a lot more on boards this evening, so you can kind of see what the drivers sing when they're all working as a
Yeah,
group together.
I don't think I'll keep you on an onboard for 3 minutes tonight, Jim, as much as we all love it. But no, waiting for the last couple of cars to join, Jimmy. Then it's lights out. We got the 5 reds, and away we go. 45 minutes tonight, mate. Slightly different, but it's going to be a good one, hopefully, from these guys.
Yep, everyone is on grid at the moment, and one red light, 2, 3, 4, 5, and away we go.
Away we go.
Very similar start throughout all the drivers. I don't think anyone particularly was much quicker than the rest. It looked like Paul Brown was angling his car a little bit further over to the side to possibly cover off Jack Veazey, getting a better start on him there. And they are onto the oval section immediately off the line. So this is it's going to be huge flat out from the get-go for these drivers. And yeah, a lot of them favouring that middle line. I think the lower the line possible, the quicker you can kind of go around here. You don't really want to be going too high because that's going to slow you down a little bit. But you can use that side draft of the cars like around you to push you along. But you can already see the top 3 there working together, pushing each other as a group. I mean, they always say the golden rule in NASCAR: you don't really want to push the pusher. But I think if you're
Sorry, Jimmy.
skilled enough, I
I'm
think to
just going to
really work
interrupt you
together as a
there.
group.
Look at Oyan coming around the outside of absolutely everybody there. He's worked his way up from about sixth place, fifth place, I think it was, P1 in the AMs. Got himself there initially off the line, all the way up to P1 at the top. Rick Wishon now just coming around the outside of him. That was absolutely phenomenal. I think we caught that the whole way along that run as well there from the start of that race. That was an absolute brilliant start of the race from him there, Jimmy.
Yeah, you can see just the car poking in at the back there, what the draft really does to them. It keeps you as a group, and you do work at kind of similar to an oval race. And yeah, that slipstream is so powerful, isn't it? And if you get a little bit of a push at the right time, it can be huge. But going into turn 1, massive chicane here,
Huge
and
game.
yeah,
Everybody knows it.
yeah, or leaving just enough room there, a bit sketchy, but they all make it through. One car going a little bit wide. I
Oyan.
believe that was Oyan just going off there, and they
Staying
are
off
back.
just to stay out of the way, drops himself down to about P5 at the minute. Jack Veazey's probably going to go past him. Yeah, he does into P5. Orjan down to P6 now. So very interesting opening lap there for Orjan. But coming around halfway around at the minute, Rick Wishon leading the way at the moment. Paul Brown in P2. Joseph Lopez P3 overall. P1 for the AMs. Doing really, really well there. Phil Giles just takes him right as I say that. Side by side, just drops behind him. Rob Barber down into P5 with Jack Veazey, who was at the top of the leaderboard starting this race, down into P6, followed by Lee Martin P7. Orjan now down to P8 with Casper Roos at the back of the pack, P9, probably looking to make a move on Orjan as well, as we can see him just looking about it there, but just dropping off now.
Yeah, I mean, what's it, lap 1, and we've already had about 4 different leaders, so it does make it a bit of a crazy one to call because you never really know who's going to come out on top at the end of this. Casper Roost and Lee Martin there, a bit further. Oh, sorry, Oyan, sorry, and Lee Martin a little bit further back there. They're going to have to work together, and I think Oyan is definitely going to have to push Lee a little bit there. Same with Robert Barber here. He's going to have to start pushing Joseph if they want to catch up to that lead pack.
It was very interesting watching Oyan because obviously we followed them all as a pack from the start because they didn't separate. Like Oyan took himself, like I think it was from about P5, so yeah, P1 in the AMS he got himself into pretty much off the line. He went all the way up to P1, phenomenal, all the way down to about P6. Now he's sitting in P8. We're not even on lap 2 yet, Jim. It's been an interesting one for him for sure. And all of these guys have swapped around. Jack Veazey, now P3 overall in the pros, down into P6 on the track. He's got 3 AMs sitting in front of him before he can even look at getting close back to Paul Brown and Rick Wishon, who currently were on board as Paul pulls into a P1 as out of that draft from Rick Wishon. There you go, Jimmy. Lap 2. We've only got to lap 2, and we're 3.5 minutes into this race tonight. It's a good thing it's not a 20-minute race because we only have about 3 laps.
Yeah, on a track like this, it needs to be and it needs to be that endurance layout.
Look at it here, Jimmy.
Rick Wishon
We just
here
on
pushing
board.
Paul Brown. You can see the onboard. I thought you were going to call it.
No. I was just going to say, just look at it here right now. Rick Wishon, exactly that, Jim. Sitting right on the back of Paul Brown there around that oval part of the track. Right on his back end of his car there, pushing him along. Looking to get into that slipstream eventually when he feels like it's necessary. And Phil Giles joining the train. It's exactly like you said earlier, and you know my love for it as Phil Giles drops down to the inside to look to get the move done. But I absolutely love NASCAR. This is really
well.
yeah, 4 of them. This is literally like watching the Indy 500. This is like watching Daytona. This is brilliant. I love seeing this type of racing. So it's great that we're getting this here with the Toyotas this season as well. Well and truly treated at such an iconic track like Monza as well. Been around for absolute donkeys. It has so many years. Brilliant track. It's great to see this version of the track being raced.
Oh, what's happened here?
Oh, so it looks like Paul Brown went over the. Rick Wishon went off to the right-hand side there by the look. I'm not too sure what happened to him there. But then Paul Brown looked like he went straight over. I didn't see any contact between them.
You know what I reckon it is? I think they might have forgotten about the chicane. I reckon they were kind of pushing each other along a little bit too long, and then they took too much speed and had to bail out of it. And then has he got to go down penalty?
Well, they both got the yellow flags on them, James, instantly. So it looks that way. And that puts Joseph Lopez P1 overall, P1 in the AMs at the moment. These pros ain't got nothing on these AMs right now. I tell you, it just chops and changes. This is a great track for it because it keeps these cars real close together. Sadly, at the moment, I think Casper Roost is the only guy with a little bit of a gap there. It's just over a second with Jack Veazey and Rob Barber, P4 and P3. Casper's a little bit off the back at the moment with Oyan, but this is some great racing we're seeing tonight so far.
I think looking at the list, only 2 of the 9 drivers actually haven't currently led the race so far. I think it's just Casper and Lee Martin. Lee Martin's still a little bit further down the pack, but he's definitely working his way back up because he started quite far behind. So I mean, I wouldn't put it past Lee to be leading at some point fairly soon. Keep an eye on him at some point.
I think you are right. Yeah, Jack Veazey started the race and led. Rick got up there. Paul got up there. Oyan then went up there. Joseph went up there. Phil went up there. Rob's been up there. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's just Lee Martin and Casper Roost at the moment who haven't led this race just yet. So you never know, Jimmy. You never know what could happen here tonight.
Casper and Oyan, you need to work together, get yourselves back up in the rest of the group. Phil Giles though leading the way at the moment. Joseph Lopez definitely looking to keep his lead. Jack Veazey, I'm surprised, isn't a bit further up the order at the moment. I think he's just playing it tactical, playing it smart, just sticking behind and getting used to how the field ahead is working because they are battling very, very hard. And I'm surprised how many of them are taking that middle line. I think, yeah, you're seeing Phil Giles there taking that lower line. Definitely feels to be the quicker one. But yeah, you can see that the effect of the slipstream, as soon as Phil moved out the way, all the others using that slipstream absolutely fly past. But
it really does chop and change when they're coming around this part of the track, doesn't it, Jim? Who's in the lead of this race? There you go, just changing again. Rob Barber's now put himself ahead on the outside. of the track. Will Joseph get it done back on the inside as they come up to the next portion of this oval section of the track? But I absolutely love that the helicopter cam there, Jim. Looking at all these cars, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars all in contention here. Lee Martin all the way up to Joseph Lopez at the top of the leaderboard. Any one of these guys can be top by the end of this next part of the track.
Yeah, Paul Brown there. You can just see at the very bottom of the screen getting a little bit of slipstream off of Lee Martin, and then if he could push Lee just that tiny little scooch, they'll be able to get back in the pack. But it's been an absolute gaggle of cars at the moment, but they'll be coming up to that
Absolutely.
really heavy turn one braking zone again. So let's see
Looks
if
like
they
Jack
can
V.
work their way through it.
Yeah, Jack Veazey, sorry, just making moves there, getting himself up into P1. A bit of a later break compared to Rob Barber to get himself just
Oh,
there.
Joseph Lopez very sketchy over the corner there.
Look at that. The Joseph Lopez P1 not 30 seconds ago down to P5 now. Jack Veazey, who was down in P5, now up to P1. It is just chopping and changing all over the place. Get yourself a part, Jimmy, of that gaggle of cars indeed.
Yeah, and you can see the effect there when you fall out of that main group where you can see Oyan and Casper just struggling to catch up with the rest of them, but still got
Well,
little over 35 minutes to go left of the session. So I reckon if Casper can catch up to Oyan and they can just start pushing each other, they might be able to just get to the back of the pack and start working their way
well,
through. As it looks like Phil Giles just gets a slow down penalty, so he's going to struggle to serve that one. But luckily, the cornering section of the track is not as flat out, so he can serve the slowdown throughout this bit.
no, absolutely. Let's have a look at that one. What happened to him there?
I think this is a little bit after he got the slowdown, isn't it?
So he tracked wide.
But that wouldn't have been it so far, because usually that's the line you take. And no, I think we cut a little bit too late to him then. But yeah, he's definitely served it. Still in the slipstream, and they'll be able to carry on fighting. Lee Martin up in fifth now, and as we were talking about earlier, fifth swapping with first seemed to be quite common. So is it his lap? Is it his time? Is he going to make his way up to the top of the field? We'll have to have a look. Robert Barber, though, doing very well to keep P1 in the AMs, but P2 overall. Joseph Lopez been very scrappy, trying to really push his way to the top as well. He's one to watch definitely. Little gap though with Joseph Lopez just falling out that slipstream kind of area at the moment. They're really going to have to push and work together to catch back up to Jack Veazey and Robert Barber. Oh, and Rick
No,
Bushell.
no, there you go, Jimmy. But 10 minutes into this race, I'm gonna attempt to call it before anything changes. But you know it's probably gonna change on me as I do. But leading the way at the minute, Jack Veazey back at the top of the leaderboard, P1 in the pros, P1's overall, followed by Rob Barber, P2 out on track, P1 for the AMs, with Rick Wishon in P3, P2 for the pros, Joseph Lopez P4 on track, P2 for the AMs. Lee Martin P5 on track, P3 for the pros, followed by Paul Brown. Phil Giles is your last podium spot today at the moment for the AMs, followed by Oyan and Casper just sitting off the rest of the pack there. Jimmy, I just want to go back to what you were saying about Oyan and Casper. They really are going to have to start working together to get themselves back up to the rest of that pack. There's not going to be any pit stops today, I don't think. They've got the fast repairs if anything does happen out there. All these cars close together. I'm quite surprised we haven't seen any comings together just yet, but these guys are handling it really, really well out there, driving like proper pros tonight. Real hard, clean, fair racing. What I love to see. But no, they've really got to work together, haven't they, to get up with the rest of them? It's going to be a bit of a struggle for them, I think, because everyone out there is driving brilliantly tonight, and it's really and truly anyone's game to who's going to come out on top tonight.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few people here and there who seem to be a bit afraid of pushing, and it is a bit of an interesting one to see, like if you're not used to pushing, to kind of basically driving into the back of a of another car. But yeah, you've got to do it, and I think you've really got to keep the group together. Otherwise, you don't want to risk yourself falling down the pack and getting too big a gap. But
No, and that's the thing. Look, they're sitting. Oyan's what now? 8 seconds and rapidly increasing. I don't know if he slowed himself down there or something happened, but 9 seconds now off the back of the pack, with Casper sitting just over, just going to be under 4 seconds now off behind him. They have got some serious work to do to catch up with the rest of them. Like, by all means, if they do it and they get themselves in there, we've seen what, fifth to first about 4 times tonight. So 5th place well and truly does look like it's the spot to be on. I think Joseph Lopez was there a moment ago, got himself back up to P1 for all of a bloody couple of seconds, and Joseph Lopez now back down to
Steady on.
P3. Do apologise about that one.
Yeah, we'll get you a beeper for the next race.
It's just such an interesting one. There's so much going on. The emotion just carries away. I do apologise about that one, though, viewers.
No, I mean, yeah, Casper Ruud now 1 second off of Orjan, so we're gonna have to see how they work together here because they, yeah, like you said, they've got some serious catching up to do. But there does seem to be a little bit of a lack of pushing here and there throughout the front field. So if they can work together the entire time, I do reckon they will be able to catch up by the end. All they got to do is gain each other about half a second to a second a lap more than the rest of them, and they'll be on the back of them, and they'll be back fighting for the. I mean, let's be honest, the race win. I think it could literally go to anyone at any point. We're seeing so much chopping and changing going through.
There you go. There you go. It's just so exciting, Jimmy. Just get carried away. Carried away for a second. but no, honestly, it's really and truly a brilliant race at the moment to watch. Jack Veazey still leading the way. Rick Wish on there in the pros with Joseph Lopez and Phil Giles occupying P3 and P4 on track, P1 and P2 for the AMs. It's just so choppy and changey. I can't even start to imagine okay, there's a clear gap now that we've seen in other weeks where other circuits that we've raced on. And you're just not seeing that tonight, are you? I think it's going to be like this the whole way through.
I think one name though has been consistently near the top, and that is Jack Veazey. He does seem to be. I think people are quite happy pushing him along and getting him to sort of lead the pack because it's easier to follow someone that's a bit more experienced on these kind of tracks, because then you kind of copy their braking points and where their lines are, and then you kind of copy it and you kind of improve yourself as you go around. Oh, a little coming together, little bumping here and there.
Rick Wish
Getting a little
Rick
bit
Wish on a Phil Giles. Sorry, Phil Giles was looking to come around slowly on Rick Wishon and Jack Veazey the whole way around on that oval part of the track there, Jim. But no, then a little coming together as they came off the end there between Rick and Phil bumping together. Luckily, no one took the brunt of it too hardly and ended up going off there.
No, but I mean that is a tactic that I do like. It does work quite well when you're doing if you're doing any oval racing or doing something like that. If you're the lead car and you've got 2 cars behind you and you got one dead in your slipstream, like right behind you, and you got one off to the side. If you're that lead car drifting along just over and over and over in front of the other car, sometimes that car that you were giving slip to originally just gets that kind of target fixation, and they come across and then they crash into the car behind you, and then they take each other out, and then you're like, cool, I got free space now, off I go.
Absolutely. Thanks for sorting yourselves out there, guys. I did nothing at all. Thank you very much for that one. Pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, it's one of them. I think a couple of these guys must have been watching the NASCAR the last couple of weekends that it's been on, because it makes some great racing, doesn't it, Jimmy? I do love. I've said it earlier on in the stream, and I know I've told you countless times in the past, and when me and you have raced in our time as well. Oh God, let's do some NASCAR, Jim. Come on, let's do some NASCAR. I absolutely love it. I love that style of racing, and I love seeing it when we get to these oval special parts tracks that we do here in the Toyotas, in the 86s, and in the GT3s that we do in both the Tanzo Racing Group. I love it when we get these kind of tracks, because you really do see some varied racing between the track section, and especially at a track like Monza that we know that is so quick as well. Doesn't usually allow for a lot of overtakes unless you're well and truly in that slipstream behind the car in front of you. But with that oval section of the track, it just adds another element to the race completely. And Jim, we know the timing board as well. We've got the yellow for the over the half a second, we've got the orange for the under half a second. I don't think, apart from Orjan and Casper, who Casper has now caught Orjan, so that's now turned orange, that there has been any kind of gap really between them all. It's really made for some brilliant racing tonight.
Yeah, and I imagine if we had there was a few more people in the field, I really wonder how it would have kind of worked out that way. But this is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to work together. You have to keep in that pack, and yeah, and it's a whole new element of skill for a lot of these people, because yeah, you're used to racing road where it's kind of like, I want to be in first. I'm going to be in first. I'm going to put my car in first, and I'm going to lead the way. I'll defend. I'll get in your way. And then here you're kind of like, these people are my championship rivals, and I'm having to help them along in a race. And it's just this whole different mindset that just makes it like so much more interesting, and it just makes it a whole different ball game, really, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, mate, absolutely. And some of the drivers that we know from this league and the other league, especially some of the guys that we're missing tonight as well, because like I said, we got a small amount tonight. It would make some brilliant driving, wouldn't it, if we had more of the chaps out there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the NASCAR earlier in your little conversation. I haven't managed to catch any, but I've caught the IndyCar, and I think well the last one I caught was at Long Beach. That was quite good fun. But I don't suppose you remember where the NASCAR was running IRL the last few weeks.
Do remind me, Jimmy, it's been a busy few weeks for me and my job. It's the busiest time of year, so I've been pretty inundated with that. Just remind me, mate.
Oh, Talladega. Apparently, I've just been I've just been messaged. It was running at Talladega. Ah, I missed that.
Talladega. No, I've missed it too. Work's been absolutely mental for me as of late, mate, as you well and truly know. But it's been one of them. It's starting to ease off a little bit, so I'm going to start looking forward to watching a bit more racing as well. But Jimmy, we can just see it up on the board at the moment. Look at the times of these guys around the track at the minute. There is not even a second between first and seventh. That's some really quick lap times from these guys and really consistent, keeping it tightly bunched together, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're not too far off the halfway through the race as well. So being that close together, I mean, this is the beauty of a draft track, and we had it at Watkins Glen last week. Although it was a little bit more difficult because of the rain, but everyone's when you get a draft track, that slipstream really does just pull everyone together, and it just makes it so much more fun to watch and sort of see everyone battle. And
Yeah.
it gives those people who have got maybe 95% of the skill level of the guys at the top to be in the running of the for the lead. I mean, we got an AM currently leading at the moment, and we got our overall championship leader Jack Veazey running down in fourth. I mean, it really does add a whole new element to this. We're seeing Rick Wishon now are leading the pros at the moment, with Phil Giles leading the AMs just behind him. Phil Giles, though, I mean, heck of a race last week, and so far been a heck of a race this week.
No, absolutely. Phil Giles, we were giving him that underdog story. Then we were told no, he was a pro, and kind of fell off a little bit. And we realised back towards the end, no, he was an am, and he's having a brilliant race this week, leading the way currently P2 on track, P1 for the AMs at the moment. So again, another great one, but we're just coming up to that halfway point of the race. There's a little bit of tapping there for Phil Giles between him and Joseph Lopez on screen right now. But no, anything can happen, Jimmy. I can't call it for anybody at the minute. But yes, he's having a fantastic race again. So he will be looking to get up the points indeed. Currently sitting a little way off the top of the leaderboard, but we're only at that halfway point. He's still got another 4 races after this one to get himself up there and get it done. He seems to be competing each and every week. So as long as he's consistent and keeps grinding out those victories and those podium spots, and I think we could see a late run for Phil Giles potentially here in the standings, mate.
Yeah, I think if I had to call something at the moment, it's definitely whoever's got green on their car seems to be doing a little bit quicker. I think the more green, the the more quicker you seem to be going around this track. So
No, see, for me,
it's
I think it's if you get yourself in P5. I think Rob Barber, who we can see in the centre of the screen at the minute in the lovely red and blue, I think if in a moment he's going to possibly, or now Paul Brown, he's going to rock it up to P1, mate. I think that's the spot you need to be in this race. I think P5, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get P1 before the end of the halfway through the track at least, halfway through the lap at least.
oh, a little bit of a spin. Ah, they're coming together with a few of those cars. That's going to spread the group out massively. Oh,
Oh,
that's really
black
not good
flag
for Paul
there.
Brown there.
No, black
Yeah.
flag for Rick Wishon in all of that as well. Took the
Oh,
meatball, so he's
meatball
going to have to
flag.
go. Yeah, so he's
Oh,
going to have to go to the pits. They do get their fast repair though. Still, this race, Jim, even though it's such a long one, so it will
yeah,
definitely be
but
glad
he's
of that.
just
But
gone past the pits.
that's going to severely impact his race. Is it going to be like you said, Jimmy? Is this going to be his race pretty much done now at that halfway point?
You know what would have been good to see? We need full course yellows on a on a race like this just to bring everyone back together. Don't know if the
We, we haven't got full course yellows, but Rob Barber and Joseph Lopez do have a yellow at the minute, James. So they're going to need to slow it down just a scooch there. What has happened there? We shall take a look at the replay on that one in just a moment's time and see exactly what happened with everybody there. But a few drivers tumbling around. But Phil Giles, we were just talking about him, leading the way through all of that carnage that just there was a moment ago. P1 in the AMS, P1 out on track, followed by Jack Veazey, back up to P1 in the pros, P2 out on track, followed by Rob Barber and Joseph Lopez with Lee Martin in P5, Paul Brown in P6. Rick Wishon in P7 and Meatball. Let's have a look at what happened here, though, Jim.
Yeah, so turn one always is so difficult in Monza, and it's my least favorite part about Monza, and I actively do not race it because P1 is just such a nightmare. Well, turn
So,
one and
sorry.
turn two, and it's just yeah.
Oh, has Rick come round too soon there? Or was it Phil Giles potentially
I
coming
think
out
Phil.
of that corner? Can we have another look? I want to have another look at that one again, if possible there, please, cameraman. And he's done the duty for me there. So
So I'm
we can
forward with
see
Rick
we can
now.
see Rick Wishon right dead center of your screen at the moment. Slightly lighter green, leading the way into that corner there, with Phil Giles just to the left of him. So they're fine at the moment. Rick makes a turn in. Oh, has Phil gone into that
Yeah,
a little bit quickly there, or has he turned into
Phil
him?
went too deep coming out of there. He needed to slow down a little bit more just to get more rotation in the car, and he just
Oh,
hit the back end of him.
well, the marshals will definitely be looking at that one for sure, indeed. But Rick Wishon now serving his black flag now coming out of the pits now there, Jimmy. Was it Rick as well who picked up the meatball flag? Was it?
Yeah, he had the beautiful flag and the black flag, which it's just
Race
you couldn't ask
ending,
for a.
race ending indeed there. But no, Jack Veazey now taking the P1 spot of the day at the moment. 20 just coming up to 25 minutes into this race, Jimmy. 20 minutes left to go, pretty much just over. Jack Veazey leading the way, P1 pros, and Phil Giles leading the way. Well, sorry, Rob Barber now going from
There you go.
P3 up
There
to
you go. You
P1.
called it P5. Rob Barber getting up
What did I
P1.
say? Not 1 minute ago, P5 to P1, Lee Martin. If Lee Martin gets this done, I do think we've seen everybody then but Casper at the top of the leaderboard. And he's making his way up. He's in P3 at the moment, Jimmy. Is he going to get the move done and get himself up to P1? He's sitting at the bottom of the track at the moment as they come here to the chicane. Sitting in P3 comfortably for now, but he's got some more of this track left to get it done. I do believe we might see him get up to P1 before the end of this race. I told you, Jim, P5 is the spot to be in.
Yeah, seeing Lee Martin though getting up to third. He's one of the only two drivers, like we talked about, that hasn't managed to lead the race at the moment. So this could be his opportunity to be one of those drivers. And yeah, Rick Washon just so far behind, but well done on him for getting back out there and getting back racing.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So Rick's still showing the black flag there. Has he still got a service penalty, or is that just a little graphical error? Do we think?
Now, I wonder if he might have been speeding in the pit lane on
Has
either
he got
entry
himself
or
another? Has he got
exit,
himself?
because it did look.
Well, you're saying he's got himself another black flag? No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I think it was just a
Okay.
graphical thing there. I was going to say, Jim, if he's got himself another black flag just after serving a black flag and a fast spare, that is race ending indeed.
Yeah, that'd be rubbing salt in the wounds, as they say. But
I think
no,
at
I
that
mean,
point I would quit. We say stay out on track as long as you can, but I think if that was me on this track tonight, I'd just be like, look, I'm 15 seconds down and you want me to do another one. I think I'll just call it an early night.
yeah, I mean, Joseph Lopez currently leading Robert Barber just behind him, Lee Martin in P3. Jack Veazey, though, falling a little bit further behind down into P5. So I think we can expect him to get back up there. But yeah, so keep an eye on Jack Veazey, and if Jack Veazey does get into first place by the end of this lap, I think it'll really show that P5 is definitely the key spot to be in for these drivers. Lee Martin going for the overtake on Robert Barber there, gets so much slipstream, and get a little bit of that side draft alongside. Hope that should pull him along. Now he's in the toe of Joseph Lopez in front as they head down to the huge banking of the oval section of the track. And I think this is it. This is it. Lee Martin going to potentially lead the race. So there's only one driver that hasn't had a chance to lead. So very exciting stuff around here. I mean, having a potential for like essentially 8 of the 9 drivers to win the race. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap now between Paul, Oyan, Casper, and
Yeah.
Rick, but
Sorry, I did want to just
hopefully,
mention that, Jimmy. Sorry to interrupt you. Paul Brown, in all of that chaos that was happening over there, did end up facing the wrong way. We didn't quite mention that one when we look at the replay, and that is what's pushed him all the way down to P6 and about 9 seconds behind Phil Giles, who's now in P5.
yeah. And there we go. Jack Veazey coming up into P1. Definitely that P5 spot.
There you go, Phil
You
Giles, P5 a moment ago, up to P2 immediately, and it's looking like he's going to get himself into P1 on the leaderboard. There you go, right as we're looking at it. Gets himself into P1. Jack Veazey going back ahead of him. They're just swapping and chopping at the moment. There was 3 at the top. But it's a really good spot to be in, isn't it? P5 in that corner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting coming down to that last lap because obviously P5 is definitely where you want to be. It seems to be the quickest part, but you have 4 cars in front of you and essentially wanting to be in 5th place on the last lap of an endurance race because that's your best shot at getting the win. I mean, that's going to be. I think the head games are telling you, no, I want to lead, I want to be in front. But then the smart decision would be to go further back. Casper Roost and Orjan fighting for the positions there. Casper Roost going a little bit too deep into that corner, losing position, and then going to fall off the back of Orjan a little bit. Gets himself a bit of a slowdown penalty, and yeah, he's got Joseph Lopez as well. I think he went a little bit too. Got a little too crazy through that chicane just there. Lost a bit of a. Well, he got a penalty and he's still able to hang on to the back of that lead group.
I tell you what, at the moment, Jim, it's going to be any one of these top 5 cars. I think with it being the way that it is, unless we get another serious incident out there on track, then everyone in this top 5 is well and truly within a chance. But now a little bit of a gap at the top though between Jack Veazey and Phil Giles, Jimmy. 1.5 seconds at the top of the board at the moment. Now we haven't seen that gap in nearly 30 minutes of racing so far tonight.
Yeah, I mean that has been a pretty big gap. He's out of the slipstream, but I think Lee Martin, Robert Barber, I mean Joseph Lopez, they have been a bit scrappy, but I think they know that they need to work together at this point. And I think that draft is so powerful around here. All you need to do is Lee needs to give Phil a bit of a push, get him that extra
Well,
half a second in lap time, and he'll catch up, no problem.
Well, I'm just wondering what has given them that, what has given Jack to Phil that 1.6 second now lead, because for 30 minutes, Jim, we've not seen anything more than about 6-7 tenths at the very most between most of the top 3 in total. Now we're at 1.6 seconds. I wonder what's going on there. And he's had a very quick lap there, setting a new fastest at 3:17.4. That is a phenomenal lap time there from Jack Veazey.
Yeah, he got a lot of pushing early on in the lap, and I think after that there was a bit of a dodgy moment from one of the drivers that caused the rest of them to slow down a little bit, and then they all sort of fall off the pack, off the lead pack. But let's see what Lee Martin decides to do here. He decides to fight for the position. I think Robert Barber's wanting to push someone along to get back up to the pack. So, oh no, Robert Barber doesn't go for the push.
Oh, that's quite an interesting one.
Interesting. Joseph Lopez though pushing Lee Martin. Okay, that's the smart decision. And then yeah, if they can all fall in line behind those two, they're back within that second of Jack Veazey. They'll be getting that slipstream now. Look at the time dropping away.
Look,
you can
look
see
how quick Jack Veazey's coming into camera there. Yeah, look how slow it's making Jack Veazey, who we know is not slow out on track, setting that fastest lap a second ago. But look how much they have just gained on him as a pack. Jack Veazey might drop down to about P5 himself here.
And there we go, Lee Martin
P1,
leading
P2,
the race
P3.
at the moment. We have now had 8 of our 9 drivers lead the race at some point. I mean,
what a race so far this is. Casper, please catch up somehow. Please catch up. We need a safety car or something, Jim.
we do need a safety car. I mean, you almost want like one of the drivers to just go like, you know what, I'll cause a safety car. Let's get Casper back up here with the rest of us, and let's give him his chance.
I tell you what, could you imagine if Casper came through and somehow won this race now? You know he's looking the best of times when we speak to him in an interview after a race, Jim. Could you imagine what he'd be like if he won this thing? But no, Jimmy, with less than 15 minutes to go, mate, what I want you to start thinking about.
I
I'm going to
can't.
give you.
I can't. Who do you
I'm going
give
to give
it
you.
to?
I'm,
Who do you
I
give
am
it
going to
to?
give you. Well, I'm going to make it slightly easier for you. I'm going to give you the choice. Do you want the Pro or do you want the AM driver of the day today?
I always like giving it to an AM driver because
Okay, so before the end of this race, Jim, with a few minutes left to go, and it's such an interesting race, I'm going to leave it right down to the wire before we get to that last lap with our winner there. I'm going to give you about 14 minutes, 13 minutes now, sorry, to think about that and get that thought done in your head. I want your AM driver of the day, and I should give you your Pro driver of the day as well. And I really, really don't know who to give it to.
yeah, I've got two names in mind for my driver of the day. So yeah, let's give it 10 minutes and I'll hopefully that'll give me some fuel to figure out which one to give it to.
No,
But yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
anyone in the YouTube chat as well, if there's any particular driver that you want to give your driver of the day to, chuck it in the YouTube comments and we'll give them a shout as well. And if there's anyone you just want to give a shout out to, friends or family who are on the grid at the moment, again, put it in the YouTube chat and we'll give them a shout out from you there.
No, we've had a really interesting one, and with these drivers all over the place, it'd be great to hear from those guys sitting at home watching along, cheering on these guys, because we have had some brilliant racing tonight, Jimmy. I think this has been my favourite so far all season. I think I might make a slight protest to the league officials and say I want combined races all season, please.
Yeah, sadly, I think there's only a couple of like proper draft tracks like this. I mean, we got Watkins. I mean, Daytona's a pretty good one for draft, but that's not on the calendar this season. But no, I
No,
mean,
we've got some good tracks. We've got some good tracks still. We don't need them all to be like this. We've got some real interesting ones coming up, Jimmy. So.
yeah, I think a few of them as well are I think basically the last few tracks of the season are ones that I've recommended to put in here because I just absolutely love them. And I was like, you
Jimmy,
need to put these in here because it gives
Are,
really good racing.
are you trying to tell me you influenced the league and got some races that you wanted in here in?
I mean, absolutely.
Well, no, because what
If
I'm
there's
going
a
to
track
say
that I
is,
like, I mean,
well,
I'm just throwing it
no,
in contention.
I'm just going to say that's absolutely brilliant because we get you on a track that you love to race on. It's going to make an interesting one to call for sure because you just go up a million when you're on a track that you absolutely love, and I love to hear it.
Yeah, the one that's we've got on the 24th of May is a personal favourite of mine, and the one on 7th of June as well
Ah,
is as
yes.
another phenomenal like a track that I absolutely love. That's so underrated. But
Well,
yeah, we'll
no,
talk about those closer to the time. I'm not going to give away which ones they are
no,
just yet.
I've got to agree with you. That one on the 7th of June to finish out the season is a particularly good track. It is a bit of a favourite of mine. Thanks to you who introduced me to that one previously. We're not going to let anybody know where that one is just at the moment, but it should make for a very interesting, very good end of the racing season for this league for this year.
Yeah, but I mean, next week we've got Brands Hatch. I mean, obviously we're going to mention it at the end of this race. I mean, Brands Hatch is an old British classic, and yeah, it's a fun little track. Lots of blind corners, lots of sketchy moments around there, so it does make for a bit of fun. But Lee Martin though dropping off the pack. Robert Barber now, second and a half away from those lead three. The lead three that we've been working together this entire time continue to do so. Sit in that draft and yeah, just sort of pull away. Phil, Joseph, and Jack have, I mean,
Well, they've done the business so far, haven't they? Really, especially Phil Giles and Joseph Lopez, technically classed as the AMs. They drove like absolute pros today, though. Like, sometimes I do wonder, Jimmy, why we have the separation between the classes, because on some of these tracks, especially that you especially like one tonight as well, you can't tell who's going to finish where. We've seen pros, we've seen AMs, we've seen 8 out of the 9 drivers on track tonight lead this race at some point. But for Joseph Lopez and Phil Giles, that is a brilliant race from them to be up there now with that second gap. But we've seen how quickly that gap. What did we have earlier? I think we had a 1.5, 1.6 second with Jack Veazey when it was Joseph Lopez and Phil Giles behind them previously. They started working together. They pushed up together, and look how quick they came round and closed that gap off. Jim, we saw how quickly Jack Veazey came into shot. So that gap at the moment for me doesn't really mean a lot, but Lee Martin's not really got anyone to work with behind him. He's going to have to get up and work with Rob Barber, start pushing him up towards Phil Giles as well. So it's one of those, mate. You've got what, just 8 minutes left of this race. not a whole lot of time in this world, not a whole lot of laps left.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Robert Barber's been pretty comfortable with giving people a little bit of a push, but yeah, I think it's Lee Martin's turn now to just push him along. And I mean, you mentioned it earlier, the AMs have been phenomenal on this track. I mean, the fact that it is mostly AMs up the top and the pros a bit further down. I mean, look at that pack. Look at that pack working together. It's like three little peas in a pod pushing each other along, like peas
Three
do
little peas
apparently.
in a
And
pod. I was just thinking, I can't remember any pea racing there, Jim.
I mean, no, I'm
Anyway, carry on,
I,
come on, come on, come on.
I was gonna make a silly joke that I'm not absolutely not going to, but yeah, I
Well, it won't be
mean.
the worst thing that's happened tonight, Jim. Let me just say that one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those situations now where, I mean, Lee Martin definitely giving Rob a push there, and yeah, Rob's catching up to that pack, getting in that slipstream, and you could just see the time dropping away from them. This is the moment where, I mean, you almost need to kind of work out between Jack, Joseph, and Phil. I mean, they were pushing each other, but it wasn't working as well as they thought. We know that slipstream is strong, so do you start leapfrogging at that point, and then maybe the car in second goes into first, uses that slipstream for the extra momentum, then it pulls who was first and is now in second along, and you use the second place to push, and using that extra boost that you had from that slipstream and leapfrog your way and just pull away from Robert Barber. But no, Lee Martin and Rob, they've caught up very well, and yeah, they'll be able to get back fighting in that top five. Then we've got Oyand and Paul, big gaps between those two drivers, and then Casper and Rick got a bit of a gap between them as well. They need to figure something out to work together and get back fighting between each other. Paul Brown, bit unfortunate for him, but he's yeah, I mean, third place he's still got in the pro division. He is sixth place overall, but he will be classified as third place. So it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world. Ideally, you'd obviously want to be a little bit further up and fighting with either Lee or Jack.
No, I
Same
think
with
I think
Paul, with Rick as well.
think just saying that though, Jimmy, I think that's where the advantage of having a smaller grid will be with these drivers. So yeah, it's not been the most fortunate of times for Paul Brown, who obviously got caught up in that incident a little earlier between Phil Giles and Joseph Lopez. Like ended up facing the wrong way. So it's kind of like what I can see as the silver lining for only having 9 cars out. Yeah, I'm not having the best of times tonight, whether that be from something that's happened like to Paul Brown or just from my driving tonight. I'll let that the drivers out there decide if they've had a good or a bad race after the race. But it's that silver lining almost like not as many cars. I'm still going to get a good amount of points and positions here.
Yeah, and they're just about coming up towards the end of the lap. And I say at the end of the next lap is when we should call our driver of the day, because that'll be pretty much one lap to go at that point before the end of
Uh,
the race. So yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, you've got the AM driver of the day this week, and I've got the pro. But at the moment, I really don't know who to give it to because it's been a really good race. I'd probably say up until a couple of minutes ago, when those gaps and what happened with Paul Brown, who was up there fighting and stuff like that. And I think if Lee Martin can make a late surge up for P1, he's definitely going to get himself in contention for my driver of the day, Jimmy. But yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll give it a few minutes before we call them out there, mate. But I'm driver of the day from yourself and pro driver of the day from me coming up very shortly. And guys, in the comments watching along, let us know who has been your driver of the day today, because there has well and truly been some great driving out there. So it could go to absolutely anybody today.
yeah. I mean, they're not making it easy for me to pick, are they? And it's
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think I've got the easier task of the two tonight.
yeah. I think I know who my driver of the day is going to go to. But yeah, I'll wait to the end of the lap before I spoil anything. Um, yeah, I mean, we've seen some phenomenal kind of skill and just the way that everyone's working together as a group as well. And it's just, yeah, it's a different mindset that they have to go into this race with. And it's a shame about that little incident that we had early on. But as a race has gone, I mean, how do you like? There's a lot of races where you watch them and you're just like, okay, well, so and so is going to win, so and so is going to get second, and
Yeah,
so and so is going to
no,
get third, and that's it.
I completely get it. We see it a lot. But no, Jimmy, if you're going to ask me how I feel about this race tonight, this has been my absolute favourite I think we've ever sat and called together, because this has been a brilliant race. Like I said, 8 out of the 9 drivers on track tonight have led the race at some point, which is a truly phenomenal feat there, if I do say so myself, to get on one of these races. Like you said, we normally get the out the winner outright pretty much sometimes in other leagues as well, quite a bit before the end, so you know who's going to win that one, and it's a race elsewhere on track. But this has been an absolutely phenomenal one, Jim. How is this ranked for you?
I mean, it's definitely my top two so far. Just quickly, Robert Barber getting a slowdown penalty, and he's ended up holding up the rest of the group, and it's given them a 1.5 second gap between them and Jack, with basically a lap and a half to go. So, yeah, they're definitely going to have to work together, and I think Lee now has got to push. Uh, I believe that's Phil in front, and Lee's got to push him into the lead. Um, and yeah, work their way back up. But yeah, should we? You know what? At this point, should we talk about who driver of the day, who your favorite driver of the day is, and who you'd recommend? Who do you reckon you should go for?
Well, it's one of them, and I think it might be a slightly bit obvious who I'm going to give it to, but he's been all over the race tonight, and he was quickest in qualifying, so I'm going to give it to a Jack Beasley again. Look, you can't look away from someone who's performing like that. He's done absolutely brilliantly all season long as a newcomer. He's had another great race tonight. He's been all over the place tonight, up at the top of the leaderboard, starting our race, and then all the way down to about 6, 7, got himself back up there, and it's chopped and changed so many times. So for me, Jimmy, I'm going to give it to our driver of the day in the pros. That is going to be a Jack Beasy from myself. What about you, though? Who are you thinking for the AMs?
For the AMs, I'm going to give it to Joseph Lopez. I think for me, he's just his skill with sort of working with the other drivers this evening and sort of getting a bit scrappy, putting his car in the lead in places that, frankly, as an AM, you shouldn't be fighting for the lead. I mean, well, I mean, you should be, but you shouldn't necessarily be fighting for the lead, and just outclassing a lot of the pros, and he's just outperforming himself, I think, like in such a good way this evening. And there you go, leading the race as I say it now. Joseph Lopez, I mean, well done to him. So we're on the embankment, go through the oval section of the final lap of the race, and yeah, I think it's got to be him for me.
No, absolutely brilliant choice there, Jim. There's been a lot to think about with those AMs today. 'Cause like I said earlier on in the race, these AMs have well and truly raced like the pros. I don't know why we have the division between them sometimes. But no, he's been absolutely brilliant tonight, hasn't he? Like you said, he's leading the way at the moment. Jack Beasley getting himself back up ahead though for now with Phil Giles coming in, tucking in behind him as well. Will he push out Joseph Lopez to P3? They're side by side at the moment. But no, it's an absolute brilliant choice there, mate. Brilliant choice indeed, and both I think deserved driver of the days in both classes there. I believe we are on the last lap now, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the moment where, as a driver, your heart's going a million, and you're like thinking about every possible strategy. And
There
wait,
you
just
go.
Joseph and Phil, black flag.
Black flag for the pair of them. Is that going to impact everything? Could that allow Rob Barber to sneak up there and get a P1 potentially in the AMs? Or now could Lee Martin get himself higher up there and closer to P2 and cause a bit of chaos between these AMs? Jimmy will have to find out on his last lap. But no, it's an incident limits reach from both of them here, I believe, for
Oh
Joseph Lopez
no.
and Phil Giles, right on the last lap, right on that 45-minute mark as well. They got that. That is really, really unfortunate. But let's have a look in at the end of the race. Here, Jack Beasley leads the way, currently in this race. Started at the front. It's going to look like he's going to finish at the front as well, unless there's going to be any changes late on in this lap here, Jim.
But that, you know, that could mean though.
What could that
That's
mean?
Robert Barber is now P1 in the AM division on that final lap of the race. He's currently leading the AMs overall on points. Joseph Lopez was second. This was Joseph Lopez's chance to take over the lead points in the championship, and now
Oh, it was,
he's
wasn't
dropping
it?
down. So Robert Barber now is leading in P1. That could put Oyan and Casper back in the running, depending on how bad that black flag penalty is as they cross the line. Are they going to have to come into the pits and serve the penalty, or do they serve it after the race and take the time hit? So this is it. Just as they cross the line, little wiggle from the drivers there. Jack Veazey as our P1, Joseph Lopez crossing the line in P2, Phil Giles in P3, Lee Martin just behind them, and Robert Barber in P4 and P5 respectively. Paul Brown coming around the last few corners now to see him poking his head around that corner. And yeah, he'll be coming. There you go, coming across the line. He is our P6 on track. Orjan just 15 seconds behind him. Big gaps forming between some of these drivers, but well done to them for keeping out on track and keeping going. Rick
No,
Wishon a little bit behind him with Casper Roos battling with Rick Wishon for the eighth position on track. Let's see how they go. Casper Roos getting that slipstream, gets
side
the
by
move
side
done
here.
on yeah. Photo finish 0.0000.
There's nothing in it. There is absolutely nothing in it between Casper Roos and Rick Wishon there at the end of that race. What a phenomenal ending to the race there we had. That was a brilliant race, Jimmy, from start to finish. Now, look, we saw the black flags, but until we get anything clarified, we know what's happening, we're going to call it as it went across the line tonight. So, Jimmy, take it away. Let us know how it all went for everybody.
Yep, leading the way in P1 we have Jack Veazey, and leading the way in the pros division as well is Jack Veazey, followed by Lee Martin in second. Then we have Robert Barber leading the way in the AMS division and P3 overall. Then we have Paul Brown, who is third, so still a podium sitter and in fourth place overall. Then we've got Joseph Lopez now in second in the AMS division with Phil Giles in third in the AMS, but sixth on track. Then followed by Orjan, Rick Wishon, and Casper Roos. So yeah, crazy, crazy race. Lots of chopping and changing. I don't think we. I think none of us after one lap would have been able to put a bet on who we thought would have won that one. But
No, I'll tell you what,
yeah,
I would have took the punt on Jack Veazey anyway, but the way that race came out there, Jim, with how it all changed, like we said before, like numerous times, 8 out of the 9 drivers leading it. You did not know who was going to win that race. I didn't like 15, 20 minutes in. I didn't know what was going on. Everybody was all over the place. What a brilliant race, though, that was.
yeah. I mean, that was. I do love a draft track, and it's such an interesting one as well with that sort of oval section on there. That embankment and all that slipstream just creates a whole new level of strategy for everyone. And you know what? We had one little incident with coming together, and it was just someone just going a little bit wide through the corner. I mean, fair play for going 45 minutes and just having one little tap between drivers. But yeah, so we'll go to the interviews now. We'll have a little chat to some of the drivers. I believe we have a Lee Martin here ready for an interview.
Yeah, shall we get Lee Martin in it? Lee, good evening. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, good evening, guys.
Good evening. How are you doing, mate? Great racing tonight. That was out there, wasn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. I think my heart's still beating a little too fast.
No, it was mate. It was so interesting to call and to watch. That one was. It was absolutely. Everyone was everywhere at some point. I was. Me and Jim have said multiple times. 8 out of the 9 drivers on track tonight led that race at one point or another as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely more of a game of chess than an outright race, I think.
No, you had a good one, mate. How was it different though to your normal 20 and 25 minute though? Because obviously 45 minutes is a long time to be out there, especially on a track like this where there is a lot of fighting. How did it compare up, mate? Which one are you a bit more of a fan of, maybe?
You know, to be perfectly honest, I enjoyed this one more than I expected to. The 20 and 25-minute runs give you a lot of incentive to be aggressive and to maybe be a little bit less patient. I think in this one, patience was the key, right?
Yeah, absolutely it was, mate. But you did absolutely brilliantly tonight, mate. Look, we're not going to keep you guys for too long at all this evening because it's been a long one. So before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to before we let you go?
Well, as always, you guys, it's fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to watching this one back. And Jack and Paul and Joseph and Robert, just the teamwork, the patience that they displayed made this an absolute masterpiece where it could have been chaos. So just a tip of the hat to all of them that were up there. Really well done. Phil Giles as well. Brilliant racing. Thank you for allowing it.
No, absolutely, mate. There you go. Well, go get yourself a nice rest, mate. And You have a good chill out, mate, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, mate. Same to you.
See you later. See you later. Always good speaking to Lee there, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, what a voice that guy's got on him.
Absolutely love it. I do. Absolutely love it. But no, shall we speak to Mr. Joseph Lopez, shall we?
Yeah, let's bring him in and have a little chat with him.
Joseph, good evening, Joseph. How are you doing, sir? That was an interesting race for sure, mate. Everybody all over the place this evening. How was it for yourself?
I think I need to take a walk or something after that. That was that was crazy.
It was definitely an interesting one. Everybody pretty much on track tonight led the race at one point or another. You yourself, P5 finished in the end, P2 in the AM. So no, it was a really interesting one. How did that compare up to like one of the normal race weekends for you there with the split usually in the reverse grid, but being a 45-minute, was it real different for you?
Yeah, it was just real different, just because of so much drafting too. So it felt really different. It was good. I got a black flag on the last lap, so I don't even know if I won or not because I had 17 penalty points.
Well,
So
we'll have to wait and see what the marshals and all the officials come out with to decide for that one by the end of the week, and hopefully you'll get your answer on that one. But no, we take it as we see it right now. But no,
yeah,
being told, no, sorry, just being told, Joseph, that you are keeping a P2 in the AMS tonight. Just been told that by our marshals. So no, good finish there from you, mate.
all right, good deal. Yeah,
There you
that
go.
was a lot of fun.
There you go, mate. Look, we're not going to keep you too long because it's been a long one. Before we do, though, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to before we let you go?
Just my wife as usual, and my dog BB.
There you go. Your wife and the dog, BB. Hello to
Yep.
both of you. There you go, Joseph. Well, that was a great race to watch, mate, and probably great to be a part of. So, look, we'll love you and leave you, and we'll let you go, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right, have a good one.
See you later, mate. See you later. Great
I believe
racing
we
from
got,
Joseph tonight.
yeah, really great race. Oh, there's a reason I gave him my driver of the day. And
There you go.
I mean, first time we've had a shout out for someone's dog as well. That's quite nice, quite sweet.
Yeah, BB the dog. Hello, BB the dog, wherever you are in the world. So, no, we've got time for one more, Jimmy. So we're going to bring in Paul Brown, P3 in the pros tonight. Paul, good evening. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. You well?
Yeah, mate, very well, very well. You know, it's like bank holiday weekend. You've got to be in that little bit better, that better mood, haven't you? But no, mate, it was a real interesting race tonight. Me and Jim have said multiple times that pretty much everybody, 8 out of the 9 drivers, led that race at one point tonight. That was a real interesting one. Seemed like a real grind for you guys out there. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was good fun. You know, I got to the lead quite early on, and then I think we were 3 wide around the banking, and I thought that wasn't for me. My blood pressure wasn't a bit handle it, so I thought I'd just chill out at
Back
the
off a
back.
little.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd chill out at the back, and unfortunately, it's got caught up in a spin in front of me, so there was nothing I could do from then on.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for you there, mate. We did have a look when we looked at the replay, and we called it slightly afterwards. How you ended up facing a bit of the wrong way there. It was a real bad incident for you out on track, and up until that point, you were fighting with the rest of them up in probably the top 5, 6 spots for that one there, mate. But look, you had a great race tonight. It was definitely an interesting one to watch. It was a great one to call. You guys gave us so much racing and overtaking and little bumps to look at and watch. So thank you from me for that one. But no, look,
Yeah,
before we
no,
let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to before you do go?
so thank you guys for the broadcast and Connor for organising the league. And my biggest fan who watches every week, Casey Ann, my daughter, she's been waiting for a shout out. So yeah, there you go.
There you go. Hello, Casey Ann. There you go. So no, that's a great one from you there, mate. Look, go chill out, and we'll possibly catch up with you next week. See what happens.
Yeah, good. Look forward to it. Cheers, guys.
See you later, mate. Have a good one. Now, Jimmy, we've got time for one more, and it's from our race leader, our newcomer this season. I'm not sure we spoke to him yet, actually, but we're going to speak to Jack Veazey, our overall winner tonight and P1 in the pros. Jack, good evening. P1 again. How are you doing tonight, mate?
Yeah, doing well. Yeah, tough race to win. It was like a game of chess because the slipstream's so strong.
Yeah, mate. 8 out of the 9 drivers tonight led that race at one point or another. You guys were all over the place. It was a proper game of chess. Look, you consistently top of the pack anyway. Look, you're winning races left, right, and centre. We know you're a strong driver, but how did that one, the 45-minute race, compared to the 2 split races that we usually do here?
Yeah, it was a little tougher than usual. There were a few times where I nearly got like spun round, had to from like bump drafting behind. But overall, it
Yeah,
wasn't too bad. It was most of the action happened into that first chicane.
yeah. We only really saw the one main incident with Phil Giles, Joseph, and Paul really happen. Apart from that, it was a real chess game between you guys as to who was going to finish where, and we really didn't know coming up until that last point of the race who was going to indeed finish in P1. But like always, and like tradition, mate, it was yourself. So no, congratulations on that P1.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Not a problem. Look, we're not going to keep you too long, buddy, 'cause it's been a long one. Before we let you go, though, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, just a shout out to any friends and family who might be watching.
Oh, there you go, mate. There you go. Well, go chill out, mate, and then we'll possibly catch up with you next week as well.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
See you later, mate. See you later. Jimmy, that was some brilliant racing tonight. I think that's been my absolute favourite race so far this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's top two. It's up there with Watkins Glen because I love that underdog story of Watkins Glen of just Phil coming out of nowhere and just
Yeah,
blasting his way to
yeah,
blasting his way through. But
it was a brilliant one, wasn't it, from Phil Giles last week? But I tell you, for intensity and action, we got it all in this race tonight with just how close everybody was for pretty much the whole of that race, bar the last few moments.
yeah, I mean, I loved every moment. I was a bit worried because like a draft track if there's like a slight incident that it pulls everyone
Yeah,
apart. I was worried that maybe like P2 might make an incident and then suddenly everyone's just falling back. But no, I mean
no,
everyone kept together. I mean for the most part, like everyone was together for the entire race. So it was really really good.
no, that was a fantastic one. That was a fantastic one. One that I well and truly enjoyed watching. But Jimmy, it's that time. It is going to be checkered flag from us here at Monza and checkered flag from us here at Trackside Broadcasting. I just want to say thank you to everybody watching at home for joining us along tonight, and thank you to you, Jimmy, for being alongside me each and every single weekend. Like I like having you. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys, and yeah, thank you for being alongside me as well. We've been treated to another absolutely quality race this evening, and yeah, like you said, that is it from us here at Monza. Next week, we're headed over to Brands Hatch, an absolute British classic of a track. But before we sign off, I just want to thank again Tanazo Racing Group for hosting us, and thank you all at home for being here and supporting your favourite drivers. Have a great week, everybody, and we shall catch you all on the next one. Good night.